Filipino value system and their influence in business practices. Filipinos' value systems are primarily based on personal alliance systems, particularly those based on kinship, obligation, friendship, and religion. Filipino value system is characterized as an effect of one's own culture by the way people live their lives. This involves the collections of framework of values that the majority of Filipinos have traditionally held as important in their lives, such as common beliefs, moral principles, ethical standards, etiquette, and cultural and personal values that their society encourage them to have. Here are some Filipino values that we live by. 1. Bahala na. Bahala na has no exact English translation. This, nevertheless, can be interpreted in the variety of ways. The first is the word bahala was derived from the word Bathala, who was worshipped by Filipinos prior to the arrival of the Spanish. This belief is entrusting one's life to God may be a symbol of how devout Filipinos can be. They simply entrust everything to God, including their problems and sufferings. They have fatalistic, trusting faith with their lives. Bahala na, on the other hand, is determined and risk-taking. According to Lagmay 1977, as cited in Pipowa at et al. 2000, he stated that when Filipinos say bahala na, they are prepared to face any challenge and are determined to achieve their goals or objectives. When they say those words, it is as they putting courage or strength into their system, and they're not going to give up. In business, you cannot just put in its life in the hands of fate. Everything has to be carefully studied or planned. Otherwise, all of your efforts will go down the drain. Number 2. Utang na loob. Gratitude or utang na loob is deeply ingrained in Filipino culture. It is important not to overlook the good deeds of others, especially in times of great needs. This debt of gratitude is frequently violated by those who have done us good. People are forced to do something in exchange for favors done by others under this system. In business, is affected by this so-called utang na loob, especially if the businessmen have faced ethical issues. Number 3, Ningas-cogon. Ningas is a noun which also implies fire, torching or fire, whereas cogon is the plant that can quickly burn. Ningas-cogon refers to the rapid burning of cogon, which represents the Filipinos' eagerness at first, but then rapid loss of interest shortly after it begins, or lack of follow-up. In business, the same thing could happen. This enthusiasm is there at the beginning of the venture, but because it is not one's inclination, he or she gradually loses interest. Number 4. Padrino system or palakasan patronage system. In Filipino society and music, the Padrino system, also known as patronage, is a value system in which one obtains support, endorsement, or political appointment through family affiliation or friendship rather than one's worth. In other words, the owner or manager hire friends or family members regardless of their qualifications. This may cause internal conflict and, in the long run, may result in the loss of more qualified employees or workers. Entrepreneur or businessman can start closing deals using Padrino process if the Padrino acts as the going to present and vouching for his character. Number 5. Amor propio or self-respect. Amor propio is a term that means self-care or self-love. A sense of self-esteem or self-respect keeps a person from swallowing his or her pride. Sensitivity to personal insults or situations that are offensive is included. In business, Filipino customers are typically sensitive to hearing a no for an answer. Thus, one will receive a yes, but may be disappointed later. Number 6. Mañana habit. Mañana is a Spanish word that means better future or the future. It is also known as procrastination in English and mamayana in Filipino. It could just and easily mean deferring something until later. Because of this habit, Filipinos are less efficient and energetic when performing tasks. In the business, the mañana habit may lead to a less efficient workforce. It may also result in the loss of customers if one is in the delivery business. When he or she constantly puts off doing something, his or her workload can pile up, causing him or her under stress. Number 7. Delicadeza. Delicadeza is a word that translates to daintiness in English. It is defined as acting in a refined manner or having a delicate sense of taste. It can often refer to good manners or complete adherence to what is right, legal, or ethical. For those who do not have it, it may be better to say walang delicadeza or makapalang mukha. It is always best in business to do what is right, legal, and ethical. Goodwill, after all, attracts good vibes. Number 8. Hiya. Shame, also known as Hiya in a common Filipino value. This is a sense of social propriety that adheres to established cultural norms. Filipinos believe that they have lived up to agreed upon or moral standards, and that failure to do so brings shame not only to themselves but also to their families. Anyone who is publicly humiliated, insulted, or fails to meet standards may feel embarrassed and lost self-esteem. In business, people say things like shame or hiya. One example is in the sale of rice and other consumables. Now comes his or her close friend requesting payment for one sack of rice at the end of the month. On the due date, the seller is even embarrassed to remind his or her close friend of the letter's obligation. Number 9. Pakikisama or pakikipagkapwa-tao. Loyalty or pakikisama is another Filipino characteristic that is a mutual comprehension of the other person's personality and consciousness. It is treating others with equality, respect, and integrity. This is simply a realistic translation of pakikipagkapwa-tao in industry, as the goal is to provide useful products and services to others in order to improve their standard of living. For example, Rico is a sole proprietor in business. His cousin approached him requesting a loan for 10,000 pesos for an emergency. Because he did not have any personal cash at the time, he took 10,000 pesos for his business collection and lent it to his cousin. Number 10. Family orientation. The Philippines is known as a family-oriented country. Filipinos regard their family as a vital social structure that must be protected. They place a high value on their family's safety and unity. Nepotism is clearly practiced. The closeness of Filipino families serve as a model for most business organizations. However, in business, it is said that hiring relatives is not advantageous because one cannot easily fire people even he or she is unsatisfied with their work performance. 11. Suki system. Suki is a Tagalog term for devoted customers. A client relation is established here. Normally, once confidence is earned, the supplier will provide discounts, high-quality products or services, or even a credit line. 12. Bayanihan or team spirit. The Bayanihan is a Filipino term derived from the word bayan, which means town or community. Later, Bayanihan came to mean being a bayan and is now used to describe a spirit of unity within a group as well as individual cooperation and joint efforts. The adage, "no man is an island," is even more true and even more important in the business world where interactions and willingness to collaborate with others can make or break a company. The local environment is an important tool in Bayanihan, and that is, it will assist his or her people and his or her company in moving forward by leveraging the strength of his worker or people. 13. Palabra de Honor. Palabra de Honor is a Spanish phrase that translates the word of honor. This is an unsaid promise made to someone to do or not to do something. Every Filipino needs to have a sense of truthfulness and honesty when it comes to the Palabra de Honor. Even the absence of a legal document, we must honor our words by keeping our promises. In business, for example, if one made a promises or employees a salary increase after 6 months of employment, he or she should actually give them an increase when those who reach 6 months. 14. Lakas ng loob. Courage, known as lakas ng loob, is a mental or spiritual strength that enables a person to face challenges, situations, or pain bravely or without fear. For example, in order to expand character or her business, one obtain a loan from a commercial bank that is repayable in 5 years. 15. Pakikipagsapalaran. Pakikipagsapalaran or being daring refers to a person's willingness to take risk, even if it means risking a loss. For example, even if you have no experience selling, you could start an online business during a pandemic by simply following some ideas from your friends or relatives or families, or even watching the social media. 16. Frugality or pagtitipid. This is referred to a resource management which entails spending wisely and avoiding unnecessary expenses. Frugality is critical for a small business. Living frugally and managing one's spending will help one save money effectively. When a business begins to succeed, there is a tendency to overspend. So it is advantageous if he or she understand how to control his or her expenses. That is Filipino value system and their influence in business practices. Business ethics and social responsibility.